Good day, Africa, and welcome to AAU Talks. AAU Talks is brought to you by the Association of African Universities headquarters here in Accra, Ghana. And my name is Kwesi Sam. Now, AAU keeps on adding programs and then content to the AAU network. And so today, I'm so much happy that we are launching another segment or another episode, another program on the AAU network, and that is Health Afrique. And I have 3 clinical health psychologists with me, and we are going to discuss some key mental health issues, and then also launch officially the AAU Health Afrique TV program. Stay tuned, and you are still watching AAU Talks. We'll go for a short break. We'll be back. Welcome back, and you are still watching AAU Talks on AAU TV. And like I said before we went for the break, we are launching the Health Afrique program on the AAU TV network. And we are privileged to have 3 clinical health psychologists, and we are going to discuss streetism, drug abuse, and mental health. And we will find out how are these 3 concepts related. And so the first guest that I'll be introducing goes by the name Mr. Joshua Ewua, and he is a clinical health psychologist with Live Developers Movement. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
How are you?
Very good. Thank
Great.
you.
I'm also doing well. Then I have in the middle Miss Anita Paddy. She is also a clinical health psychologist, and then she's also with the Live Developers Movement, and we are privileged to have her here as well. Anita, it's been long. Welcome to AAU Talks.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Fine. Yourself?
I'm trying to be fine.
Yes,
I'm so happy that exactly you are here, so I will definitely be fine.
You have to be fine.
Great. Then the last guest that I'll be introducing also goes by the name Mr. Samoni Otu Mesa, and he is also a clinical health psychologist with Live Developers Movement. Sami, how are you? Great. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to AAU Talks.
Thank
and
you.
the topic before us today, we are launching the Health Afrique, and Health Afrique program seeks to advance healthcare in our higher education institutions. A sound mind must always be exactly a healthy body. And so, as much as we are doing content on education, we think health is very important.
Exactly.
But today being the first episode, we are looking at streetism, drug abuse, and then mental health. And I always want us to use drug use. Then nobody will know whether we are abusing it or we are using it rightly.
Exactly.
But let's start the conversation by knowing what is mental health and what is not mental health, which is very important. And I think I'll start with Anita. Ladies first,
You're
Yes,
trying to be biased.
Yes. So let me start with you, Anita. What is mental health and what is not mental health?
Okay. So basically, when you're talking about mental health, basically, say anything that affects your emotions, your thoughts, and your behavior.
Okay.
So your social function, your daily function, anything that hinders it means that there is a mental health issue.
Okay.
And most of the times we limit it to those on the streets. But that is just 1/9 of all mental health conditions.
Okay.
Because if your pocket is not well, you are not well.
Mm.
And it is a mental health. That is it's a mental health issue. But we wait till we push us on the streets before we think it's a mental health issue.
Okay.
Everybody experiences mental health issue at a particular point in time. It may not be now, but sometime past you did that. Like I said, generally when we don't have money, we say, Charlie, me home for me. I'm not too well.
Okay.
I don't feel like going out. It's all affecting your social function.
It affects your mood, your thought.
Your mood, everything. You think, and nothing is coming out from the thinking. And we don't normally see it as a mental health issue. But we want to carry it across that basically when you talk about mental health, it's anything that affects your mood or feelings, your behavior, and your thinking pattern.
Okay, so Sami, you know, I don't know, but you are the professional in the field, and so definitely we would know the difference between mental health and mental illness.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Is there any difference? Because we tend to, if I talk about mental health, we think it's mental, but what is mental illness and what is mental health?
Okay, so as Anita rightly said, with the mental health, it's an integral part of your health. Okay. Because we have the physical health and then the mental health. So looking at it from the health angle, with a sound mental health, you should be able to, you as an individual, you should be able to identify your own abilities. Okay. You should be able to cope with the normal stresses of life, because stress is a part of us. Yes. And you should be able to make a meaningful contribution to your community. Okay. So in the case where these things are compromised, or you have challenges with your thoughts, your emotions, and your behavior, there we can say there could be a mental health challenge, or what we can say a mental illness. Okay.
So in other words, there should be a balance between your thought processes, your mood or emotions, and then your behavior as well. Oh, yes. Amazing. So then let me come to you, Joshua. So what is not mental health?
Okay, thank you. Actually, let me add up to what they said about mental health. You see, when we say mental health, it's actually part of a global health. So you want to be healthy. Okay. And so at the end of it all, we see that without mental health, there's no health. Because if I want to be the richest man on earth, if I want to be the most healthiest person on earth, then it is my mind that carries me. So mental health, basically, as she said, talks about things connected to your health in terms of your actions and then your thoughts. Okay. So for instance, psychologists, we believe one thing, that when we say psychology or health, mental health, you said that mental health talks about the peak of human experience. So if you can perform better, then it is your mental health. Okay. If you don't get to that level, it is a challenge. Okay. So then we talk about where issues of not being able to associate your thoughts and your feelings to the expectations of society, and being the mental illness.
Okay, but basically, you know, then getting your definitions, so you're trying to put across the fact that your mind is the most important aspect of your body, and if something goes wrong with your mental processes, it has the tendency of affecting every aspect of your life. Is that the communication?
That is it, because let's take even the brain. We don't want to go so much into the structure. Yes, but the brain is responsible for everything you do. Even lifting up your hand is the brain, and the mind is in there. So imagine the mind is not working. It's in another way, it's like you are not working. Okay, and those who have systemically or structurally, their mind, their brains are not working. Sometimes there are those we see on the streets, and everything about them is not working. Perception is gone, judgment, that is why they are filthy, and they don't see that everything is gone. So it means the mind is controlling every aspect of you, the human being. If it is gone, you are gone.
So is that the reason why when your wife disturbs you at home, you go to the office with a frown face? if you are hungry, you go for a meeting, and then is that the explanation? You know why I'm asking these basic questions? Because we tend to think that mental health comes into play when someone uses drug and the person is found on the street. That is it. But I want us to understand it from the basics, so that anybody would know that, look, if I'm stressed in the office, I need to be careful because it may lead to is that a concept, Sammy?
Exactly, because let's take stress, for instance. If you have something you need to do and you don't have the necessary resources, it breaks you down. Okay. So in the case where you are not able to overcome the stressor and still surge on, then it means there is a problem. Okay. Because the way you evaluate your thoughts about a stressor may either increase the stress level or actually reduces. Okay. We could all be in traffic, but you think, what is this? I mean, I'm late for a meeting. You can't fly the car. Exactly. So how you evaluate
process it in your mind
actually determine your stress level.
Okay. Yes. I'm really getting interested in the subject already, but let me get to you also as well. So then, what is not? I've asked this question earlier, but I still want to know what is not mental health.
Okay, thank you very much. There's nothing like that. Everything about human being is mental health.
I see.
When we talk about mental health, it is part of humanity. How you'll be able to function.
Upstairs.
How you'll be able to function. So you see, mental health, everything is mental. Everything about human being is mental health.
That's very deep.
Yes. Yes. Everything about human being is mental health, in the sense that if you can walk, if
it's
you
because
can feel
of
happy,
your mental processes.
Yes, if you'll be able to make meaningful impact in society, it is about your mental health.
So are you saying that there are a lot of people who have mental health issues?
Yes.
Okay, when you want us to move to the issues, that is where the illness comes in.
Yes.
Definitely.
So that is where we have to say, this is not mental health, this is mental health.
Okay.
Or this is not a mental health issue, this is a mental health issue. Okay. But then when we talk about mental health in totality, if we're a human being, definitely.
Your mind should work.
Yes.
Okay, let me get to you, Anita, because I don't know, it's a very interesting thing, because we tend not to bring out this real fact. But we always jump to streetism and then drug use and mental. Why is it that over the years we tend to think that these three go together? Is there any correlation between streetism, drug use, and mental health?
There is. And it's intertwined.
Okay.
Streetism causing you to use drugs, or drugs ending you up in the streets.
Okay.
And you know, it affects your mental health. You get it? So, one, streetism, you are desperate on the streets, and you have no good habitation. You are not under any care, or you are making, trying to make ends meet on the streets. Now, people you meet a lot of people. They introduce you to all kinds of things, of which drugs are part of them. Yes, and you get into it. Now, the mind, it changes everything. The drug, depending on what you are taking, changes the composition of the brain, your physiological stature. It changes it. Your perception, everything is clouded. It changes everything about you. And now you have a mental, if you don't develop an illness, you have a mental health condition. Okay. And I think we didn't really digest the illness. Okay. Sometimes the illness is structured like as genetic. It comes from birth. Okay. And some from our own issues, they become a part of us, so that you are just prone. But issues, environmental issues, make it permanent with you. Okay. Just like, let's say, hypertension or diabetes. There's some people who are not born with hypertension.
Exactly, but lifestyle.
But lifestyle issues, then it becomes part of them later in life. Okay. Just like somebody with depression, endogenous depression. You are at risk, because maybe in the genetic line, there were people who had it. Exactly. But for some environmental issues, it triggers it, and now it becomes part of you. You were only at risk. And that is how the mental health. So like Joshua said, it is us. But if we are paying more attention to our physical ill health, where now we want to jog, now we want to be running, because our grandfathers had hypertension, they had stroke, and we know these are the risk factors. We want to prevent. Why can't we prevent the brain that is working? Because if you are jogging, you are doing everything, something hits you, there is a trauma, you still get a stroke.
Exactly.
You are practicing all these lifestyle issues, but you still get it. But it means that mentally you didn't process whatever happened to you well, and you still had a stroke. You were only at risk, but for some reasons or for some environmental conditions, you couldn't handle them well, and it came to pass.
Okay, all right. Sammy, would you want to add anything? Or?
I think basically, as we've said from the beginning, it's unfortunate that here in our part of the world, we are so interested in our physical health. But the fact is, in as much as you want to have a balanced physical health, your mental health also plays a very integral part. Because with a sound mental health, you are able to adhere to the treatments to the physical condition. You understand? So that the simple message we want to send across is mental health and physical health are like they are siblings.
Exactly.
You cannot take one out. With a bad physical health, your mental health is compromised.
Yeah, and I have never seen people with psychosomatic illness. They think they are sick, but they are not.
But they are not.
Because the mind tells them, and that takes us to the next.
And even at the end of the day, they become sick.
Exactly.
Yes. What they are expecting,
they experience the physical pain as well. And
that shows how powerful the mind is.
The mind is. And that takes us to our next question, where I'm asking, if we are talking about mental illness, what are the classifications? What are we looking at? What really certify that this one is mental illness? And then let me start with you, Joshua.
Okay. Yeah. In general, we have two forms.
Okay.
So we talk about the psychosis and then the neurosis. But actually, before you can diagnose somebody, not just by seeing the person on the streets, you have experts who have to do the assessment and then come out with diagnosis. So, but generally, that is it, the psychosis and then the neurosis. The neurosis talks about this stress, things that we see, they are very simple things, but you are not able to deal with.
Exactly.
So these are the issues. For example, marital issues can also cause other conditions like depression, anxiety. Yes. But when you look at the psychosis,
that is the
and in our community, that is what we look at as
mental health. Yes. Mental illness.
Sure.
Exactly.
That's what we look at as mental illness.
Oh, I see.
So as we move on, we'll be able to digest it in details.
Okay. So
but I wanted to add something.
Okay, feel free.
To the streetism.
Okay.
If you don't take streetism as a form of mental illness, you look at how when you miss a bus at the station, how do you feel? You get stranded at the bus station.
Frustrated, angry.
Okay. Sometimes, what do?
You start talking.
Okay. Yes. So every simple thing gets you irritated. Every simple thing. This is the life of people.
Simple, like someone saying good morning.
Good morning. Yes. You don't see
what is good about the morning.
Yes. So in this case, such people on the streets are going through a hell. They are going through a hell. So sometimes they use drugs.
Okay.
To deal or to cope with the harsh realities of life. So, for example, I feel down, so let me take
Tramadol.
Tramadol, yes. So that I have that sedative effect. Let me enjoy life. Let me have that mood that I'm also a human being.
Okay.
He is coping. Yeah. But if you don't understand such people, there's no way you can help them. Exactly. So that is why we're saying that streetism
is a mental health issue.
Exactly.
Interesting. Interesting. Then let's go back to the very you brought out two types.
Yeah.
The psychosis and then the neurosis.
I wanted to add that with the neurosis, there is a challenge you have a challenge with daily function, your function, but you are in touch with reality. Yes. So whatever is happening, you recognize that everything is not well, and something is happening. Just that you can't seem to take yourself out from whatever is happening. But with the psychosis, you have lost touch with reality. So everything that is happening, you don't see. It's people who see.
And they tell you.
And even that you can't process. Because it doesn't make sense to you. they are saying in quotes, you are mad. We don't say people are mad.
Exactly.
But for
the general public.
The general public, yes, we think they are mad. They are psychotic. They are out of touch with reality. What is happening, they have no idea about it. And that is why they can go naked and they don't know they are naked.
You put clothes on them, they'll still remove it.
Definitely.
Okay, amazing. So then, Samuel, let's really, I want us to know the classifications under neurosis. What are some of the daily things that we think? I have a friend who can just, when he's eating, he feels he hasn't prayed. So once he's eating, he can close his eyes and pray and he's still eating.
OCD.
OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah.
You know, there are a whole lot of things that we neglect, but they are actually mental ailment. Can you just classify the neurosis? Then we know the ones under psychosis. Then we go to the causes and we proceed.
I think with the neurosis, as my colleagues have rightly explained, that you are in touch with reality, but the issue is your ability to overcome or actually deal with some of these issues effectively. Okay. So I always like to use stress as an example, anxiety, and sometimes depression. A lot more people are depressed.
Exactly.
But they don't know what they are feeling. They don't know how to even explain what they are feeling.
Okay.
You understand? So let's once we are talking to the students' population, let's look at a student who is in school trying to make it. You understand? There's a high possibility that you may be depressed if things are not going well.
You score the 20 over 100s and the zeros. Okay.
I remember scoring some 6 over 20 back in school, and I was like, I'm just in level 100. This So imagine you not having the right social support.
Exactly.
You don't have people to motivate you to go on, and these things keeps going on. My brother, you may just go off.
Okay.
And lately we hear people committing suicide, and some of us sit back and say, I mean, why should we take your own life? But the pain, the torture, the torment can be very, very heartbreaking. Okay.
So then are we saying that if you're unable to deal with a neurotic feeling, it can end into psychotic, I don't know, are we trying to?
Not really.
No, the two are totally different.
Yes, because with the psychotic, there are mostly some genetic issues, some biological issues underpinning it. And you must be prone to it. As in, there should be, you are at risk. Maybe from bloodline, some altered genes, other things. So that is there. That is the fundamental thing with psychotic people. Then some environmental factors trigger it. So maybe depression, which when you talk about mental, if it is not psychotic, everybody thinks it's depression.
Anxiety doesn't come in.
Yes, everybody thinks it's depression. So with depression, there are some people who are genetically depressed. And so we say they have major depressive disorder. Yeah. So their genes, by their genes, there is some level of depression in them. And other factors couple it or trigger it, and it comes to stay with them. But for psychosis, let's say schizophrenia, which the general public call it madness, it's schizophrenia. So that one,
those who work on the street.
Those who work on the street.
It's schizo.
Schizo.
Oh, I see.
They have schizoform disorder. It's broken down to, but on a broader schizophrenia. So there is some genetic underpinning and other factors. And at a point, even those with the genetic, at a point, they are just like us. It's either they have high intelligence and they don't seem to be fitting well. Or some other issues keep them away from the class. And some even end up on the streets, like we are talking about. So it's not like they are totally bad. But it is the care we don't give to them that end them up in the street. Because I know someone who has schizophrenia, but does very well. Even he is interested in playing football and stuff, and father has made sure that he doesn't even go on the park to play. And you see him and you look like, wow, you will never know he has schizophrenia unless you engage him over an hour in a talk. Then you see that everything,
his behavior,
judgment is gone, perception, mood, everything changes. Then you realize that there is something wrong. But for the first time when you meet him and you are chatting, you think everything is all right. So it's not like they are totally bad. It is the care we don't give to them that ends them up there. So like the neurosis, anxiety, there are people who even eat and they think they are eating too much.
The binge eating and
the other things, those with eating disorders, anorexia nervosa, they have, and they are all mental health issues.
But they don't know.
We don't know.
We have people who every 2 minutes they want to eat. They want to.
Everything has to be in their mouth. There's something that should be in their mouth to keep them busy. You know, an early part we will say they are orally fixated,
exactly.
But later you realize that it is them, and whatever they eat, they don't get satisfied. They never get satisfied. Or some they are not even eating and they feel that they are becoming fat. And
they want to reduce their weight.
I remember about 2 weeks or so, I put on my status that eating disorders as a mental health. Somebody goes like, hey, this one too. Now you don't even want us to breathe. Because we have not come to realize that everything about us has to do with our mind. So even if you are not doing yourself well by eating well, you have a mental health issue. Because at the end of the day, you may not see with your eyes, but there are some biological things going on when you don't eat. You are in a way putting pressure on your brain that you don't realize. There are some people who are not doing well in class, not because there have been any perinatal issues or stuff, but because they are starving themselves. You are starving and you expect circulation, it won't work. So in a way you are preventing the flow of blood, oxygen to your brain. And when it is not working, we think that it's our grandmother somewhere or our grandfather who is doing as they will say, they are doing me.
Exactly.
They are doing me. Meanwhile, we are doing ourselves a disservice. Yes, and these are issues. If we come to understand the basics of mental health, I know a lot of things will not get. That is, it will not get to that extent. And sometimes you have to
there are a lot of people who are not well. Like, I've been looking at the discussion, and I want us to bring forth some of the everyday life situations. A lot of things happen in our life that we've not taken a good notice of, but it could just be piling up until we get to the ailment. I think you brought out one. You brought out the eating disorders. We've also been able to bring out which one again?
Obsessive compulsive.
The OCD.
Constant checking.
Yes. Is there anything? Sleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sleep. Yeah. Sometimes you overwork. Actually, you have to work throughout the nights. The next day you don't have time to sleep, and this affects us so much. There are people who have had serious mental health issues due to changing patterns in work. So, for example, I go to work in the morning, 3 days I'm on the afternoon shift. So my sleep pattern has changed. I don't have enough rest. At the end of the day, it affects your social function, how you perform to get to the things you are actually expecting. So in terms of academic performance, if you overwork yourself without having a good sleep, it will affect your performance academically. Yeah. Then when you go to the workplace, the way you do your things, the way you are able to, you are expected to flow at work will not be the same. Or because your sleep pattern has changed, you don't have good sleep, and then, as you said, you don't eat well. So when all these things come together, then you expect that it will get to a point there's no way you'll be able to function at the level we expect, so that you become more beneficial to the society. Because in as much as we are all talking, we all expect that with all our doings and dealings, the society will be the one to benefit from our actions. But how do we better our society when we don't have the right frame of mind or the energy and the health we need to be able to do such things?
Thank you so much. So, Sammy, let's really go into the causes. I know there are a lot of causal factors, and then I think Anita brought out the genetic. Yes, but if you could give more they will know what causes or triggers mental ailment or illness that would be beneficial.
Sure. So with the causes, I think we have the genetic factors, then we have the psychosocial factors, and then, okay, let me say the psychological factors, and then the environmental factors. So let's take an issue like intellectual disability, or let me say learning disability among children. It may not be genetic, but it may result from the actions, or let me say behavior of the pregnant woman.
Okay.
And I think that's some aspects of our lives that we've actually neglected. Because when you're pregnant, there are a lot of... Pregnancy is not a sickness, but it's so complicated that you have to take care of yourself more than a sick person.
Okay.
So let's say a woman or a child, a young lady who finds herself on the streets. Let's not even come to the homes. At least we have someone to even advise you, don't do this, don't do that. There's a girl on the streets who actually got raped. Do you understand? She got raped and she's pregnant. The lifestyle that she used to live before the pregnancy, the intake of alcohol, the smoking and whatnot, she's most likely to continue.
Okay.
And these are things that acts as teratogens, or let me say poisonous chemicals or toxins that affect
to the baby,
the child. So you may think, oh, I'm having fun. Pregnant mom, I'm still chilling, I'm still having fun. But at the end of the day, you may give birth to a child who may have some kind of intellectual difficulties.
Okay.
You understand? So these aside the daily...
So how does that happen? Is it that the toxin would, I don't know, destroy the brain development as a fetus? I want to know how that happens.
You see, you are the mother who is consuming the thing.
Okay.
And the baby takes nutrients or food from you.
Good.
When you take alcohol, you don't see the effect. But one, it works on the brain. It shrinks it. It shrinks the brain. So gradually, you as a mother, you are shrinking your brain. The child is taking the nutrients from you. So you are hindering development of his or her brain too.
Okay.
Now the child is developing while through your lack, because everything, you are not eating well. So there is a lack, oxygen, lack, blood, lack. Everything,
nutrients,
lack. So the child is feeding on your lack.
Okay.
Which to an extent is more or less like you are killing the baby before the baby even comes out. Some people are some babies are fortunate. They will die before they even come out.
Okay.
Some are not. But before they come out, there's been that damage. Such that even not during birth, everything can be fine during birth, but they will still not get have intellectual issues. And there are some too through birth, delivery, especially prolonged delivery.
The perinatal factors.
Yes, it cuts oxygen.
Okay.
The mother is not breathing well, out of pain and everything she's going through, and it's being transferred to the baby. Some, they will not opt for CS. I think I've done a study on that, and I realized that for religious reasons, people don't like CS. And they attribute, they even back it with quotations. They attribute so many reasons to it. And I don't know if they are refusing to understand when the doctors give the information, or we don't really educate them to get to understand. I can't really tell, because only the patient cannot tell you the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it comes out like, I want to go through a spontaneous delivery.
That's what the Bible has said.
And they'll back it with if. Bible said that you
go
in
through
pain,
the
you so they will go through that, forgetting that the more you push, you are withholding breath. So it means that you are not breathing, and you are transferring again your lack to the child. Some people bring out babies and the babies are blue, and they have to be resuscitated because there is no oxygen. And when at birth, anything that happens affects the child.
Exactly.
So if you come out blue, your brain is gone. So before you even sit in the classroom, it's gone. And it's not only about the classroom. There are delays, developmental delays.
Exactly.
The time everybody is supposed to stature, you are not. Even sitting, neck control. We have time for everything. Some at 6 months, their neck You sit, you put them in.
Okay.
Yeah. And some, they can't sit at 5, even with help props. They can't do it. And you know, it carries through. So when someone gets pregnant, it is a very core time of the person said that you have to really, really take good care of yourself. If you want to protect your generation, your child, then you have to take care of yourself in pregnancy.
Okay.
And
how do you do that? Is it in your eating, your sleeping?
In your diet, your sleep, like even work schedules. And you know, there are some people who can't, pregnancy changes your hormonal, the work your hormones do.
Okay.
So immediately you realize that you have taken seed. It means that biologically, almost everything within has changed. If it has changed, now your sleeping changes. Because the hormones are responding to the environment and everything going on around you. There are some people who can't sleep well at night because they are pregnant. During the day, they have to go to work. So it means that they are putting pressure on themselves. People give birth, aside all other reasons, stress can affect even the weight of a child you bring forth. And excess stress shrinks our brain too. It doesn't make us think, and everything looks negative for you. So these are basic things we do every day. We don't pay attention to, or we don't focus on, and we think that it is me. There are people, they are pregnant, they will eat block. That is what they feel for genuinely. But the implications are also there. It is not like you can do everything perfectly, but then the ones that you can't help yourself, we have to pay attention to. And it's not only about pregnant women. It's about everybody. We always say that men don't cry. That for some time now, I have been really thinking about men don't cry, and it is causing a whole mess in our society.
Exactly.
Because if we are talking about men empowerment, for instance, men don't cry. So what do?
We don't share emotions at all.
They repress.
We repress it, exactly.
And the more you repress, the more dysfunctional you become. Because one, you build, it's either you are building bitterness, or you are building envy. You are building negative emotions.
Exactly.
And men don't cry. And unconsciously, you are exhibiting that in different forms.
Exactly.
So you see, some men cheat because they didn't cry. They were in pain. You know, we are bringing out certain behaviors because of things that happened previously and we didn't pay attention, or we didn't work ourselves out on it. And they are becoming, gradually, they are becoming something we are accepting because everybody is doing. And society, someone say, everything has become relative. Who defines this and who defines that? And it is you. And so gradually also changing our society, changing morality, changing so many things we would not have done times past.
All right.
And so it is all our mental health.
Exactly. I mean, today you are giving us a different dimension of it. Well, I like it because we are coming up with the basics, right from pregnancy, and then what even happens during the pregnancy. But let's also look at the aftermath when the child is born, and the life that he or she leads on earth, especially with the contact with environmental factors. So what are some of the issues that come up that really cause mental illness?
So in the case of a child who has good prenatal development, but postnatally, what happens is that the child needs to be loved. So emotional care. So if you don't love your child, you don't pay good attention to the child suffers. Because every human being needs that touch. That makes us human beings. So if your child doesn't have that, you don't have good nutritional status.
No, wait, don't jump. The emotional, it's also very important.
There is a link there, because you know, our emotions even affect the way we eat. If you are sad, you don't eat. So a neglected child is always in doom. We have children who get depressed. So
because
imagine
of lack of
so that is
that
actually the link. We wanted to link it to the streets.
Good. Go ahead.
So now I'm at home. I'm developing. I don't have that care, that love. So every human being begin to develop what you call psychological reactants or reactions.
Okay.
So the way you treat me, I will also try and react to it in different situations. So in that case, such children are classified or labeled as bad kids.
Rebellious.
Yes. And so these kids begin to find their way out. Okay, now no one likes me. I'm not respected.
Socially accepted.
That is it. So family. Then let me go to a place where people will accept me. So if I'm fortunate and I find people with similar issues at home, we meet
as friends,
and then it forms a family. Now it's no more friendship.
It's a
family. And this has been established as a major cause of streetism.
Okay.
Even though we have other causes I know you will touch on. So as a parent or as parents in a society, we should be able to show care and love to our kids. It is very important.
Yes, but you know why the care and love in an African context is that I've been able to provide food, I've been able to pay your school fees.
Material.
Exactly.
Yes.
That is why I'm so much interested in what kind of emotional development are we talking about. I like the white. If you want me to give example, before I was in one of my seminars. Someone like, no, this one is too foreign, where you need to even give your son or your daughter a good night kiss or a hug or something.
Exactly.
You know, it's so much absent. Is that the kind of emotional development we need? I know Sammy, you want to say
something about that. As you rightly said, in our Ghanaian context, okay, some or most of us, when you talk about care and love to your kids, it's like, okay, mommy, I'm hungry.
There's food, okay.
The way you even deal with your children on that level. In my house, for instance, I'm able to, cope with anyone because of the kind of treatment my parents give to me.
Okay.
You hardly see me eating alone. We eat as a family.
Okay.
While eating, we talk. Daddy is willing to listen to you. Daddy is sharing his experiences. So you have the listening ear. So growing up,
so you develop it.
Exactly. So I don't find it difficult talking about my challenges, even though I'm careful about who to talk to, because of the kind of treatment. If you have a friend, it's a must. Daddy must know your friends. Mommy must know your friends. But if we act like mother and child, you are supposed to be a friend to your children.
Okay.
Sometimes mother and child is a nice help. Father and child.
Okay.
Yes, the father has to go out late in the night.
He comes back home.
And especially for those in Accra, it's been the trend.
Okay.
Yes.
You don't see children are always left in the care of house helps
and teachers.
Exactly.
So child stays in school. Mommy comes. I go pick. I have to cook for you. Go and sleep.
Now we call it child trafficking. You are eating in traffic. You are changing diapers in traffic and everything.
Busy.
Exactly.
And now we are shifting from collectivism into individualism.
Exactly.
First, you used to have your grandparents, aunties coming around. Now it is a nuclear family. So everything is like, you have to do this, do that, do that, and it has become so part of us that the children are now growing up to become like that.
Okay.
Sometimes I think we don't realize that what we are doing is generational. Because most people grow up with how they have been trained.
Exactly.
And nurture their children in such
the same manner.
Me, my father, you go out, you are sick, stay. So we tend to transfer generationally.
And parental styles too.
Exactly.
That is it. And that is how we are becoming and how we are shaping our environment. So if today we are learning more in other dimensions of mental health, not what we already do, then I think these are things in our own small way we can put measures in place to correct so that we don't grow from bad to worse.
Amazing. So these are the unsaid things about mental health. Because most often we are just looking at the autism and you're looking at the schizos and but these are very important.
And so recently, that autism, these intellectual issues came out. Somebody will not understand why his or her child is not doing well in maths, but can read. But we have people, ekakulia or dyscalculia. Exactly. There are some people, they no matter what you do, they cannot do maths. Exactly. And that is them. And our school setting, I mean, I don't want to even go there, but our education setting, they are not putting such measures in place for us, for our children. So you'll be beaten. You have to know maths. You have to know this. You have to know how. But we have people, especially in the international schools, it is maths time. The person is doing something else. Because they have come to understand that my child...
There's a strength of the child.
That is it. So we develop the strength. But we are not. And these are also reasons that are ending children up on the street. Some people want that freedom. There's been family disintegration, divorce, broken homes. And these broken homes, we are not really seeing it. We are seeing it as your father and mother has divorced. We are so selfishly, we are thinking about the parents, not the children. The child, exactly. And even the child who gets the permission to stay with mother has that bitterness and is transferring it onto the child.
You are not even allowed to come up with your own experience as a child.
Yes, exactly. And there are a lot of people who have mental health issues as a result of single parents, being a beneficiary of single parents. Constantly, I know someone who is constantly stressed out as a result of divorce. And no matter what we have done, the least thing, she switches back. And now depression is becoming like a major depression, although there is no family trait or something. And this person, if care is not taken or if God doesn't intervene, gets major depression. And now genes are going to be transferred to children. You see, there are basic things we do and we are not really paying attention to them out of our own selfish desires to satisfy our own selfish ways. Then we are thinking about ourselves. Your father left me, so what? Yes, you have to seek help to deal with it. Said that now love doesn't become these men, they will take you to somewhere and leave you. Love is not like that. But some people have learned love to be like that because of what they have heard. They've not really experienced it, but from what they have heard. And sometimes it's so disheartening.
Sad. Yeah. I think it's very deep.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. We've been able to establish the emotional aspect. Is there any other? We are talking about the postnatal causes of mental illness.
Okay, so we're looking at the physical aspect of it. So that is what we see as parenting. In our part of the world. So parenting. So mommy has food, clothing, everything is there for the child. It is very important. If we're able to do all these things, biologically the child grows well. With a sound mind, with care, the person begins to build what we call self-confidence.
Self-confidence,
And now when the child develops these things, this is where the personality, what he wants to do.
And the mental fortitude is built. Exactly. All right. Thank you very much. We'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at the symptoms, what shows that someone is suffering from mental illness, and then also look at the support system. And I'll ask you where you guys have been hiding. And then you tell us. Viewers, this has been Health Afrique on AAU TV, and we are still discussing mental health issues in terms of streetism and then drug use. We'll go for a short break, and then we'll return. Don't forget that you can join the conversation via our social media platforms, AAU on Facebook, and then AAU_67 on Twitter. Stay tuned. We'll go for a short break. Welcome back, viewers, and this is AAU Talks, and we are still discussing streetism and then drug use and also mental illness as part of our new episode or new program, Health Afrique. Now, let me start with you, Samuel. Before we went for the break, we're looking at, we wanted to look at the symptoms, what really show or exhibit that someone is suffering from mental illness.
Great. So every mental health condition or every mental health issue has its own symptoms. Okay. Some of them actually cut across. Okay. But let's come down to the very basic ones: the depression, the anxiety, the stress, and whatnot. So, taking depression, for instance, you can actually see from the person's behavior.
So, what is depression in itself?
Depression, let me say, is extreme sadness. Okay. That exists for more than 2 weeks or for a very long time. Okay. If I should put it that way. That one is clinically accepted as depression. Okay. So let's go in that direction. There's someone who is extremely sad. The person has lost hope. The person doesn't feel worthy of even living. So you could see from the way the person even walks. I don't care. Like, you ask the person to do something and then they don't see the need to live. Okay. Your eating pattern is also affected. When you are depressed, you can either overeat, so you always want to get busy, something in your mouth to take your mind off, or you may lose appetite. Your sleep pattern is also affected. So you realize that maybe there's someone you know who is very active, and all of a sudden the person wants to be in bed alone, wants to be sleeping. That could be a red flag. Okay. In other circumstances, the person may not even have the chance to even sleep. So the person goes to bed, and then after 30 minutes, after 45 minutes, the person is up. Okay. And then the way the person relates to people, their interpersonal skills, is also affected. So as I said clearly, every mental health condition has its own symptoms, but some of these things actually are basic ones that we should look out for.
Okay. Anita, would you want to add any?
Yeah, so let's say depression. We say that depression is a mood under the umbrella of mood disorders.
Okay.
Yes. Anxiety, fear. So characterize with fear, constant panic, anything, your heart misses a beat, you are sweating, you are stress. Stress is a combination of depression and anxiety. Exactly. Because you are so sad that the genesis of the two will bring you that stress. OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, also under the anxiety. You always want to check. You are obsessed with something, like there is some particular activity, you do it every now and then, and you are so obsessed that if it goes away from it, it looks like life has come to an end. Okay. We have those with the learning disabilities. I think we've talked much about it. So you are either not able to write, read, calculate. Some people, they don't even see well. And most of the times we limit them. The optometrists are checked, and that is okay. But beyond that, there are also some mental health issues. We have to go check if everything is okay. Yes. And we have the sexual issues. I think for some time we've left them out. There are some people naturally, they can't get into a sexual mood. Okay. And there are some people, they have hyper sexuality. So every time they want to be in a sex, they are already in a sex, they just need a tick and they are off to go. Okay. We have those who are interested in pedophiles, the paraphilias. We have those there. Okay. We have the abusers, those who need to be abused before they feel loved. So like Joshua was saying, you see, everything develops in the childhood
stage. Exactly.
Yes, from 1 to 5 years.
Very important.
The care you give to your child is what you see when the child is grown.
Very true.
Sometimes we wait till they get there so that we see mommy scratching powers and daddy scratching powers.
Now trying to correct.
Yeah. That is it. But the harm may have already been caused.
Okay. All right. Joshua, would you add anything?
Yeah, but I'll move on to talk about, since you are dealing with streetism, what's linking it to.
Exactly.
Yeah. So mostly the symptoms are people begin to abuse drugs. They begin to abuse drugs because the issue is that.
So they abuse drug as a coping strategy or mechanism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So initially you voluntarily start abusing it, but as
start using it.
Start using it. So it gets to a point it takes over you.
Use of hard drugs,
And
especially among the youth,
so that's where
has become a real social menace and cut across all social strata, with children from both rich and poor backgrounds.
Oh yeah, this is the first episode, so we'll be looking at the various issues as and when it goes.
So people start taking those drugs, and then at the end of the day, with all these things coming to play, they look at their world in a different dimension. How these situations will affect us. Those of us who think that we are healthy, we are working. So me, I don't care. It's not my baby on the streets. It's not my child. It's not my brother on the streets. At the end of the day, what does it do to us?
Okay.
So the implications of all these things, I mean, people on the streets trying to learn aggressive behaviors.
Okay.
Because they are exposed to violence, and then through that they are hardened, and these things culminate into gang. There's that cliques around trying to maneuver their way through to make meanings out of their situation.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, those of us, let's say on a normal day, we are working, we are doing everything, we also will be impacted.
That's fine.
Yeah. So that is why we see that streetism is not an individual issue. It is a national canker and a public health concern.
Concern as well.
Because a lot of people will neglect these people. At the end of the day, it comes back to us.
Yes, okay. That's amazing. So then we move on to the final segment where we are looking at what are the strategies, the support system that we as psychologists can offer to such people. Let me start with Samuel, then later, just what you come.
Yeah, so even before we even move on to the strategies to help curb some of these things, I think we need to know what actually moves or causes some of these things to happen. So a lot of factors actually come to play, but we will just limit it to a few of them. So there are some factors or some causes that comes from the family itself. We classify those ones as the push factor. So we are being forced out of home. And then the pull factors, that's the offers are coming from the streets to you. You understand? So if we have some of these things in mind, like Anita rightly said, the divorce, the broken homes, and then strict parenting, I personally have a problem with parents who are strict.
Extremely strict.
Extremely strict.
Strict means that you are extremely bad.
Yes, I mean, in our Ghanaian context, when a child tells you, my daddy is strict, so they want that freedom.
To operate as kids.
Child wants to be a musician, daddy wants you to be a lawyer, daddy wants you to be a medical doctor, daddy wants you to be a psychologist. Child says, I want to be a musician. That is the beginning of the doom of someone's life. So that is pulling you here. You are also trying. So in your seek for freedom, you just go where you have the chance to do these things. But then, looking at where we stand as clinical health psychologists, I personally will go in for education. Because there are some parents out there who think they are just doing what they are supposed to do.
They don't look at their children.
Exactly. They don't look at the repercussions that are actually associated with some of these practices. So I think with proper education, and it shouldn't be an individual thing. It should be a national initiative. Where even before you or when your child is seen on the streets or something, there should be some kind of policies that will help prevent some of these things. And then also, aside the education bit, I think there should be conflict resolution, let me say, strategies or training for parents. Because some of these things, when you go deep into it, you realize that it was just something that could be prevented. a small quarrel between mother
but
and
they
child.
were in high tempers.
Exactly. But because they didn't understand themselves, they didn't have the needed skills to actually deal with these things. Daddy shoots, mommy fires. Then at the end of the day, the child is on the streets. You understand?
That's a good theory.
Sure.
Okay, let me get you, Anita.
It was still boiled down to parents. You see, we can't totally rule out parental control.
Okay. So then we are looking at the preventive more than the curative now.
Yeah, that's it. But whatever we are doing, we should know that one, the society we are in now was created years back. So it's the parents who created the society we are in now, unconsciously. And we are learning to also create another society.
For another generation.
That is it. There should be that balance. You see, naturally, I think Ghanaian parents are not the best.
Oh.
Yes.
Some of them, I think. You said some of them.
I'm talking based on that. I won't talk for the good ones.
Okay.
I'm talking for my mother is the best. Okay. But then
averagely, you think we are not doing well?
Yes, because even with her, personally, I had issues growing up. I want to be this. No, you have to be this. And there were talks, and there are some things I had to fight through. Not that they were not supportive, but they weren't understanding certain things.
Okay.
And it is not only me. I know there are people in such challenges, and they end up becoming, because I have someone who completed medical school last year, and that is not what he wanted. So I have the certificate, and it's for you. Okay. Now you wanted me to be a doctor, so take the certificate. Let me go and pursue my dream. Okay. Imagine paying fees for 6 years, going through the stress, everything. Child says, I did it for you because you want. Now you are regretting. Meanwhile, both of you could have sat down to talk things through.
Okay.
To come, there should be that balance.
Okay.
Because I can't say I want this. I don't know what lies ahead of me. You have been there before, so you know how you will shape me. But let us negotiate.
Negotiate, okay. So you are suggesting there should be more family therapies?
There should be.
Okay.
Yes, because the child doesn't know the direction.
Exactly.
But you are also not taking the child to the, you are shaping the child into the direction. So you don't impose you on me.
Okay.
I have come with my purpose. You have your purpose. You have pursued your failed dream, and you want me to achieve it for you.
Exactly.
You are projecting you in me, which shouldn't be the case. And that's how we are raising our children. Recently, I went to somebody's house, and we were there. We're chatting with the mother, the guy, small boy, I think 2 years or 3 years. Mommy, I want to talk to you. Then I turned back to look at the child. And mommy said, you go. When I'm done with my friends, he says, no, I want to talk to you now. The mother said, what kind of child? And I said, no, wait. This is an assertive child. He knows he has the right to you. Just that it's at the wrong time. So he say, hey, if I'm with friends, let's go. But if I'm with friends, next time.
Don't you think the mother should pause with the friends and attend to...
That is what I was saying. Shutting him down wasn't right.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, the child
calls in.
Now you are indirectly you are teaching the child that when you are with friends, don't come and interrupt. Exactly. But you didn't teach the child well. So it's better, oh, please, a minute. There you go. Hey, next time if I'm with friends, blah, blah, blah. Whatever your reason is, tell me. Let me see if I can do it now. Mommy, I want to talk to you now. The child was insisting, like 2 years or 3 years child, was insisting, I want to talk to you because he knows that I have access to you, not your friends.
Exactly.
This is my right. But you are shutting the child down. Meanwhile, you could have shaped the child sat down. If I am with friends and you want to say something, excuse me, mommy, please, can I see you? He didn't say it well, but you could have shaped it. But you don't force what you want me to do into me.
Okay.
You shouldn't do that. Okay. And I think Ghanaian parents...
So we need a lot of family therapies and family counseling.
Yes, we have to brace ourselves for the society we have created. And we are also creating.
Okay, to have good mental health.
Exactly.
Finally, let me take your strategy as well, then we can end the show.
Yes, he talked of push-pull factors. They are forces.
Okay.
And so if you don't work on the forces, there's no way you do anything. It will happen. So, for instance, there's a broken home. You need to empower our citizens. There are people on the streets. We are mothers on the street. People were born to the streets. That is where they belong. So if we don't empower such people to be able to take charge of their parental responsibilities, streetism, it will come. It will still be there. No, now it is escalating. Yeah. So first of all, I will suggest or advocate that we should begin to empower our people. Now, people are already on the street due to poverty.
Exactly.
And so, quite recently, I heard the Ghana government is trying to do something like skill training. So, they will house them. You do your, maybe you are on the street doing your kaya or something else. At the end of the day, you come home, you are being trained on a certain profession. Maybe whether is dressmaking or something. Excellent idea. Now, when the person is done, what do you do to the person? If you leave the person, now go, you are here 3 years, now go. He gets back to the streets. So in as much as we are trying to put on measures or put in measures to help these phenomena, I suggest that the moment we get these people to the training schools, we should also look at a way as a strategy so that we transit them into a well-meaning situation. Because I believe that it will take few parents with all what they have, if they are economically empowered, will say, I will neglect my child. So in terms of the push factors, we can deal with them. Now, in the same way, in the pull factors, somebody left my village, came to Accra, and when he came back during the Christmas, you could see his life has changed. You see, he's using the phone and those things. Those things makes us curious. So what are you doing in Accra that you are making it so I have to come to Accra? So it is better for us also to provide basic things.
Basic amenities.
Yes, for the people. So when all these things are done, we know that, oh, at least we will reduce the rate. Now we talk about parents. There was a day I asked somebody, what made you think that the way your parent treated you was the right way? Because it is something teachers, especially in Ghana, wouldn't understand. They will tell you that because they don't cane their children, that is why they are misbehaving. Children of 2018 are not the same as children in 1954. They are different. Because during those times, 8 years, 9 years, he doesn't know his left from his right. Now, a 2 year is commanding a mother. So their intellectual abilities has grown. So in our dealings with them, you should appreciate that they are human beings. They are not your child. They are unique human beings with unique qualities.
So you need to understand them.
Sure, you have to appreciate what the person is saying and understand the person in his own rights before you can give the guidance. Because you know children, yes, they have the flair, but they don't have the experience. That is why we are there to support. So when we do these things, in addition to our work, proper counseling.
By a professional.
Yes, because I believe that if we talk about marriage counseling,
let's reserve that one.
That's why I said that for this episode we're going so much deeper into some of the things.
Some of the things, the basis is marriage counseling.
Yes.
So that's why I wanted to
that is
small light on it.
That is one big area that we'll be looking at, because we don't have professionals doing marriage counseling, but people who are in churches with experience in marriage who are doing it, and it has a lot of
and nothing even shows their marriage is the best. You
exactly.
don't know the world record.
Exactly. So I want to thank you guys so much for this wonderful education. I think we are getting stressed, and if you're not careful, we also get better health issues as well. But before I let you go, I know you are coming from Live Developers Movement, which is really about 10 years doing wonderful things. And I think, Anita, you can just tell us what should we expect from Live Development Movement. And I know Sammy will also add up one or two things, then we go.
Okay, Live Developers Movement is an NGO that is into mental health promotion. So anything mental health, we are into that, because we believe that people must own their lives, own themselves, understand their mental health states. Don't wait to go into that challenge before now we say you get to the vegetable state where you cannot be
do
helped.
anything.
Yes. At the basic self-help training skills that you can do to ensure your mental safety. We are into that education and promotion.
Well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Sammy, would you add anything?
Yeah. So I think as my vice president has rightly said, yes, our focus is to promote or help build a health-conscious society. So we want to get to a point where every individual owns his lifestyle. He knows that I'm not supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. So basically we are using education as a key tool. So on our social media platforms, we run a series of education on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We take a topic that we try as much as possible to digest it. Then aside the social media campaigns, we visit
some outreaches as well.
Outreaches. We go to schools. Sometimes we meet social groups and then try to educate, because the issue of mental health in Ghana is, trust me, it's a big deal.
In Africa in general,
yes,
which I think we need.
It's a big deal because people have decided to be blind. So the two eyes, this one is for physical health, that one is open, but the mental health side is closed. That's the whole issue. And I want to help people to realize how important their mental health also is. So we are trying our best.
Okay, so, and the irony is that if you have good mental health, you definitely have a good physical health.
So as
say
as there's no health without mental health.
All right, thank you so much, guys, for coming, and it's been a wonderful education period and moment. And as I told you, this is the launch of it, and so we'll be going into the details. We'll pick the topical issues, and then we'll go and then delve deeper into it. And so thank you so much for coming, and I know we'll meet very soon as well. All right. So guys, this has been AAU Talks, and then we launched the special edition of Afri Talks, and this is a show that specifically will be talking about health issues that happens in Ghana. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Streetism.